On this episode of the InsurTech Geek podcast, we're talking about how tech is powering the modern agent in licensing, launching, and leveling up with Brett Fulmer from Newport Beach Insurance Center. The InsurTech Geek podcast is all about technology that's transforming and disrupting the insurance world. We'll be interviewing guests and doing deep dives into specific tech we see changing the industry. We're taking you on a journey through insurance tech, so enjoy the ride and geek out. Terra, this week's episode sponsor, is revolutionizing the world of workers' compensation claims and policy management. Terra's cutting-edge platform empowers insurers with comprehensive benchmarking tools, robust management systems, and an integrated ancillary services marketplace. Discover how Terra is driving innovation and efficiency in workers' comp at terra.insure. That's terra.insure. And we are back, another great episode of the InsurTech Geek podcast. With me, of course, I'm James Benham, your host, the InsurTech Geek. With me, my illustrious co-host, Rob Galbraith, the most interesting man in insurance. Rob, how's it going, buddy?
It's going well, James. I'm excited for this episode with our guest, Brett Fulmer, because he's one of the OGs of InsurTech. We'll get into some of those stories, but go back a ways and he's got a lot of experience. I'm really excited to have him on and looking forward to the discussion today.
And how's San Antonio? Is the pollen popping out there?
The pollen is popping for sure. We've gotten rain, which is good, but now we have humidity, which is really bad, especially because I've been doing a lot of outdoor projects as we prep the house for sales. So it's not good, but it could be worse. It could be worse. I mean, at least it's still just in the 80s here, not the hundreds yet. So yeah.
Isn't it funny when you go to sell a house that like you do all the projects you've been meaning to do?
My wife hates it. My wife hates it. She said that. She has said that we've been in this house 10 years and she's like, I don't want to wait till the last minute and fix all this crap for the next person. And that's kind of what we're doing. So
that's exactly what you're doing. So here's the life lesson for everybody listening. Just do your whole punch list now. Just right now. Just do your list. Just do the list. That way you can actually enjoy it before you sell the house. So I love my house. When it got built in 2007, I kind of like watched it. And then the guy who built it, the builder who built it, moved into it. And then he finally put it up for sale, and I bought it in 2019. So I've been there 6 years. And someone was like, well, this would have like really good, if you do this, it has really good resale value. And I just looked at them and I said, I don't want to move. Don't talk to me about resale value. I don't care. I'm fixing this stuff because I live here every day. And this is the house I always wanted. So just don't talk to me. I don't care. I don't care about resale value. I'm putting a pickleball court in. So I'm actually like really excited.
Nice.
So I have a small little concrete pad. I'm expanding it to just be big enough to pull off a game of pickleball. So I'm a little geeked out about it. It's an exciting moment for me. With me, broker Brett. What's going on, Brett?
What's up, guys? I was just excited to come on and bug you. Yeah, I broke the news before we hit recording that, having a first kiddo potentially like next week, due dates in like 5 days. So I thought I'd do a little pod circuit, then go in the baby cave, say hi to everybody, and then disappear from the world for a little while. Yeah.
Nice. So you're doing a little baby dealing, huh?
Yeah, we're excited.
Little baby broker Brett.
Exactly.
Little triple B coming out.
Somebody's calling him broker baby.
Broker baby.
Nice.
So you don't know what the gender is, right? You're it's like a wait and see. We're gonna be surprised kind of thing, right?
Just like insurance, it's for the enjoy the randomness and the outcomes, and we don't know what's coming. Yeah.
I wore the mint green just for you, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly. You got to get all the neutral colors. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to, it's all good. I mean, you should do like the color party, but like do something like super viral. Like the second the baby comes out, you like pop a blue or a pink cannon in the room. Doctor's like, you can't do that here. And you're like, I don't care.
TikTok.
You do a color reveal during live birth.
I'm mad at it. Yeah.
Just don't, stream online and say you're there for the unboxing. That probably won't go well.
Yeah, that would not be great. I get a little bit of trouble with that one.
Hey, you never, depends on who your significant other is there. So, could be good, could be bad. You never know.
Be eventful.
Well, I was present for both of my daughters' births. They're now 18 and 15. So it's I'm on the, and then of course Rob's even a little farther along than I am. Rob, what were the ages on yours again? I forgot.
Yeah, so my oldest is going to be 24 in
Yeah.
3 weeks, and then 20-year-old, and 15 is our youngest, and just signed her up for driving school. So it happens fast, Brett. Happens fast.
It does, yeah. So we have the same youngest age, and I remember that, but I knew he was a few years ahead of me on the top end. And oh, it flies by. But I tell you what, it is nice when they can do their own errands.
I can see that.
They're both applying for work and jobs and stuff, and it's exciting times for everybody. Well, Brett, are you in Newport Beach? Are you in California right now?
Costa Mesa, so just kind of above Newport, and then
like
a buddy
5 minutes
came up.
away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're super spoiled. Fun place to do business, cool clientele, a lot more small business than you'd think. Kind of Orange County too, which is kind of fun to be around.
So there's 2 places that if I lived in California, I would live. One is Carlsbad, because I love Carlsbad. The other one is Newport Beach / Costa Mesa, because I had a large client of mine for a few years out there. We had this big project that we eventually finished. Cool. It was an insurance. It was a really cool insurance project, and so I got to go there a lot, like a lot, and I would stay right on the beach. There's like a Baja Sharkies or whatever.
Yeah.
Right where Newport Beach is, and then right across is like Ocean's Prime or something. I forgot what it's called, Ocean 12 or Ocean 21, Oceanfront 21, whatever that restaurant is. Above it is like a little B&B, right there on the beach, right there on the water.
Awesome.
And I just like loved staying there. Newport Beach is super cool. Costa Mesa is super cool. There are a ton of small businesses there.
Oh yeah.
Like around the airport, there's a ton of business parks right around the John Wayne Airport. Like just it's got to be great target rich environment for a good broker, huh?
That, and then it's kind of like a salty, conservative, small business, cash flowing, making a bunch of money, still driving a pickup truck. I could see why you'd like the neighborhood too. Kind of the whole, be your own VC vibe as well. So
yeah, it is. There's a lot of like bootstrapped entrepreneurs out there, and of course, being a fiscally conservative capitalist, I would definitely, I definitely appreciate Orange County a whole lot. So that's awesome. Well, we're glad to have you on the show. Let's just kind of remind everybody what you do, and really how you got to where you're doing what you're doing right now. Because at least from the last time I looked at your LinkedIn, this whole journey started about a decade and a half ago. And you started, you actually got a bachelor's from Cal State Fullerton in comparative religions, which is absolutely nothing like what you're doing right now. Yeah. Although you could argue that insurance is a faith and belief system.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
So tell me, when you were growing up, like what'd you want to do when you were growing up, and why'd you study that in college?
Well, full transparency, like Edge LA County, kind of like working, blue collar plus neighborhood, which was awesome, like multi-ethnic. I will tell one story I'm typically not supposed to tell. Then I got another funny story for Rob later from like 2018 ITC. But when I was like a little kid, I joked around about wanting to be the butler on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because I think that I knew that was a rich neighborhood. My mother's like, "Don't tell your father that. What is that? What? What are you talking about?" So that was always a funny one. And then I think I want to be an architect, but honestly, like a good salesman, kind of not like ran the neighborhood, but I would say got into more mischief around the neighborhood. I was more preoccupied with that, and like sports in school was just kind of something I did. And then comparative religions at Cal State Fullerton was awesome. Like best grades of my life, read, write, and think. 20-person major, 20-person minor at like a 35,000 person school. It's just fun. I think similarly with like the forever game that is insurance, just like diving into weird things and kind of going deep. And it was cool. It was a great place to kind of read, write, and think. I got that degree, made the folks happy, and was proud of myself too. Like grew up, I don't mention this often, but ADD and dyslexia, was always in and out of RSP classes. High school guidance counselor even said like college wasn't going to be an option. And my parents were like, let's go get a new counselor. So just that stubbornness that it takes to get things done in the world. Yeah.
But it's really great to study a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that in general. Like I got a degree in accounting, and master's in information systems, but I loved studying accounting. It was
Yeah.
really interesting. I didn't intend to be an accountant. I just wanted to learn how business worked. And certainly I think that, studying a lot of different things can really, a vast variety of topics can make you a more well-rounded person. I announced this on a previous show. My daughter got into NYU and
Nice.
in the theater program. And so it's
Nice.
super exciting. She wants to be on Broadway. And she's been in a boarding school for the last 2 years for musical theater. And I said, look, even if the chances of you getting on Broadway are like 1/10 of 1%. So just remember that, like, it's the same chances as somebody getting in the NFL. It's like really hard. It's like really insanely difficult. So just keep that in mind. But this education is going to make you wonderful at presenting and speaking and selling. And actors are their own self-employed business people. They have their own LLCs. They run their own shop. It's a business. They're entrepreneurs and they have to hustle and grind and sell. And so I said, look, this is going to make you a killer salesperson. So, and she's got the temperament. So I said, if you ever decide to go to insurance, just let me know because you've got a lucrative career waiting for you in a big industry that's going to value your ability to present and perform on demand. That's a big deal. So, I think there's a lot of value to that. So what do you do now? And kind of what got you there?
So I have a funny story from hanging out with Rob like 2018-ish, and I think I can kind of tie all this together. So right now I have my own retail agency that's kind of a test kitchen, work with some technology clients, and then a lot of just Main Street. Like I have a realtor buddy that's always sending me, fix and flips, things like that. So I got my retail agency, recruit for Smart Choice. And so help agents go from, 0 to 1 policy, all day, every day, and then help some large ones kind of have better carrier relationships, manage that. And then I've always enjoyed just hanging out with startups because they open the door. They were the InsurTech ones that gave me, access to product when I didn't realize that'd be a hurdle. It's been super fun, just kind of regularly leveling up and then having friends, founders as buddies that I can kind of be a feedback machine to. But then just try to support in general, because you don't just always want to be pushing your own kind of bag or buddies, just kind of generally try to be helpful through Insurance Nerds or, the other cool platforms we have. It's been awesome.
That's great. And what kind of landed you there from the early days career wise?
So my dad was a commission salesman, scratch golfer, commission salesman, sold relocation logistics services, German, English, Scottish, like very cool. And then my mom's Mexican from East LA. She's fun. I joke with the Mexican mom. She's either yelling at you or buying you presents. There's no middle ground. They're never indifferent. I saw sales as a route to small business ownership, and small business ownership is a way to get like as independent as possible. I recognize if you don't pay your taxes, the government will take your house or something. But it's about as close as to free as you can get. So that's why I think I lean towards sales, even though I'm a pretty good salesman. I think my dad, my little brother, some others, I'm like, they're definitely better true salesmen, but proficient enough. But yeah, it's always just the independence chase. And then when I saw for insurance, you can compete with a laptop. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And the counter to that's also trouble too, that anybody can compete with a laptop. So it's a crowded field. And it is a sleeper kind of game too. Like you think it's not competitive or you think it's sleepy, and you don't realize how deep the relationships are, how little people want to work on it, the chances of something renewing and like trying to flip a client. In a past life, I did relocation logistics sales in downtown LA. And I moved a bunch of households too. So you're smart, James, for not wanting to move. It's like one of the most stressful things people can go through. But when I saw you could get paid every year, I didn't have to manage a crew. I didn't have to do collections. It looked awesome. And I do think it is one of those industries for the most part, you kind of got to go get beat up, see how the world works a little bit. And then you're like, oh, like I can be helpful to people if I do this right. And I can make an annuitized, incredible income stream. Like, okay, let's go check that out.
That's awesome. Rob?
Yeah, Brett. So I'm thrilled to have you on. I can't believe we've been doing this for a long time. We haven't had you on as a guest before. So love having you on. I know you've done a ton of podcasts with Insurance Nerds, and that's actually kind of how we first met. So I know you kind of mentioned you teased at the 2018 ITC. You were kind of instrumental in helping me in terms of launching the book, the end of insurance as we know it, in early 2019. So I definitely want to have you tell that story for our audience.
So I got two stories. One I told while driving in a car with Tony that I don't know ever got hit the airwaves, but I don't think I've told it besides that. And then yeah, Rob, I want to like dovetail it there. Um, so like 7 years ago now, technically I haven't had a W-2 in 7 years. A friend recruited me to something, ended up being like 3 hours of commuting. It was this like HR supplemental benefits product that kind of wasn't ready. Got let go. He ends up putting like a scathing like letter in the notes. And at the time, I've been working in a restaurant a little bit, so I just levered up on bartending, and basically haven't had a day job since. Um, Similarly, I had a Toyota Prius at the time, and it was having like oil issues or something, and I didn't want to steal my wife's car. So I took a bus from Orange County to Vegas, not realizing that it went to LA first and then San Bernardino and then Vegas is like 10 hours. So ironically, like while I'm on this bus trip, article I wrote a couple weeks before, maybe months before, about APIs got posted on Insurance Nerds, and that led to a bunch of different opportunities just from like taking the time to kind of deep dive on a topic. But the funniest thing was the bus ticket was $12. My room at Fremont Street was $60. And then this like happy hour I ended up treating for was $180. It had like Abel Travis, Rob was there, John Siegman, Bob Frady was there, Tony. It was like OG, like early. And it's funny, the way I can kind of date myself in InsurTech is the InsurTech with the E versus without the E battle back in the day was like sneakily a big deal. And then, so there were guys ahead of us for sure. And then there's like prehistoric InsurTech, I'll call it. But it is funny to be kind of one of the old heads of the circle now. And then the other story I was going to tell was, so Rob had a day job at the time, and he cleared everything with the day job, said, hey, I'm working on this project. I'm going to write this book. It's going to be helpful. Like, go for it. Awesome. So I filmed like a promo video with Rob and Tony that, again, he had prior auth, but once it got out there, the day job wasn't as happy with him, and it kind of led him on his own little independent journey. So it's just funny to look back at that. Yeah.
Yeah, filming on the streets down right on the strip outside. We had the natural environment going on, everything. You did a great job with that. You're a man of many talents.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So let's talk about technology that you're really geeked out about, because I always like really understanding. First off, you being plugged into so many parts of the industry, and you wearing a lot of hats, including like an agency owner, PNC network recruiter, startup. You have a few hats that you put on. Like what do you most, because of your active involvement in the insurance industry as an industry professional, like what are you most excited about innovation wise that you think is materially changing things right now? Not that's going to potentially change things, but that really is changing the game right now.
I would just say from a few recent meetings, it's kind of crazy what AI is doing for building software, but you still have to have eyes on it. You still have to vet it. And then I always try to remind insurance agents, like, it's still your E&O. You can fire up all these cool tools, you can sign up for whatever, but at the end of the day, if there's an issue related to the client, like, it's your livelihood. So, buyer beware. And then we could do this as like a PSA to all the AI startups. Don't talk about AI. Don't say AI. Just tell me what it does, And the other interesting thing is if you start thinking about it like BPO or business process outsourcing or AI, you look at like how it helps sort of the chain of activity. So you start thinking about them almost like another person, or like a business entity is its own thing. Like the AIs are almost their own thing. Where do they fit? How do they participate? Am I going to get anybody to leave their two screens for a third? Probably not. So it's just really interesting. And being a latchkey kid, salesman, entrepreneur, like I don't think the personal touch is going anywhere, but we're all getting powered by it, and I'm trying not to say the cliche thing about, AI won't replace a person, but a person with AI will replace a person not using it. Try not to say that because that's been said a lot. But it's a pretty interesting time. Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's certainly, we're deploying AI across the whole enterprise pretty heavily. I use the snot out of it, but it is a tool that I'm finding more and more useful every day, among many. Right, Rob?
Yeah. So Brett, I'm going to kind of ask a dreaded 3-part question. So I'll pause. I'll give you a prompt for each one. I won't hit you with all three at once. But what's cool about having you on is you've got this experience right from the agent broker side of things, and I know you work with a lot of agency and broker tech. You mentioned earlier, right, about the product side of it, right? And so you want to represent companies, you want to have a product suite, you got to have stuff you got to sell. So it's not just about making your life easier in terms of the agent broker world, but then also having the product. And I know you can get into kind of some specialty, or what's the market like, what's resonated, what's not. And then you've been an advisor for many startups, like kind of over the years. So would love to kind of just get your thoughts on what you've seen. One of the things I think is you keep it real with those guys, right? You're not just there to kind of pat them on the back and whatnot. So would love to hear a little bit of stories with that. But let's start. So again, that was 3 parts right there. So let's just start on the agency broker tech side of things first, before we go on. So what are you seeing? I feel like in those early days that you kind of mentioned, there really wasn't a lot of it was kind of about disintermediation, replacing. There's obviously been a pivot. I think it's happened over the last 3 to 4 years. You see Broker Tech Ventures and others out there. So what have you kind of seen over the years, and where do you think the state of kind of agency broker tech is today?
Yeah, no, TechCrunch, Disrupt, disintermediation, InsurTech was the enemy at first, which I get if you kind of had like a molehill to protect, but I didn't have a book of business. I didn't have, I wasn't worried about the IA channel being under attack because I wasn't established and, barely could land a job, around personal lines. People need help above $400 personal, above $1,200 commercial is kind of what we've seen. I think there are 2 10,000-pound gorillas in our industry that I think generally build good tools. I use one of them. But they've kind of absorbed some of the client-facing workflow tools. I also think you're going to have to meet agents in their own kind of clunky, cumbersome way. Like they're not changing too much. So the best tools I've seen complement how we act naturally and maybe kind of get our information to us easier versus, that third screen is kind of the death nail for any concept that's not fluid for the day-to-day. So you kind of got to meet agents in their flow. And then I think we touched them. And then in regards to helping the founders, it's funny. I realized just kind of being upbeat, kind of being a good locker room guy, kind of a good 6th, 7th man off the bench. And then being a little bit of PR and, the broker Brett thing was a fun, happy accident. It started because I couldn't get my friends to fill out paperwork. So it's like /home, /auto. And then I did know that, like, I thought it was a cool way to kind of keep contacts, attached to me versus with the agency and versus like in that agency's inbox. Nothing wrong with them. I mean, it's a very decent job. The owner just kind of tweaked my paycheck and I kind of went elsewhere. But yeah, it was just a way to kind of connect, have initiative, build lists, get, connect with people. I read the book Never Eat Alone like 15 years ago. And another friend said, it's funny to say it, it's either like people or money, or if you can have both, that's great. But I knew I didn't really have a big bankroll. So I think I've always been kind of gathering, people and doing mind share kind of concepts. But yeah, I love my founder buddies. It's been super fun. Ali gave me a great compliment from Fineo. He said I was like a little mini CEO in the United States. That's why he called me, what was I? I forgot. But, then Stuart from Marble has been awesome to work with. Lance from Juniper Labs, yeah, it's been great. Toby and Tony just raised some money for One Fort,
So tell me a little bit about the product side of things. Like have you seen it where are people resonating from a startup standpoint where kind of those more traditional carriers really have it is in the personal line space, commercial line space, hard to place, E&S? Like maybe you can give me a sense for where you feel like it's resonated the most.
Well, I thought Stuart did a great job with Marble that got acquired by the Zebra. One of my cheats when I'm organized and caught up is to pay attention to fintech and then pay attention to consumer packaged goods. And that's going to land more on the personal line side of the house and look for that fluidity. I don't think I'm giving away any trade secrets here. It was interesting realizing the carriers have what they call like a platform side of this house and then agent distribution. And they'll kind of turn on those floodgates depending on how the market's looking and capacity at different times. So it's interesting to kind of quietly watch them, how they'll sort of go out in the world through one tech enablement versus the agent channel. I think they're generally providing good services, no judgment. It's just interesting to pay attention. And then on the commercial side of the house, it's pretty low hanging fruit. Like clients just want to be able to get to their policies. They want to stay organized. And I could do better at it. They don't want to, if you can pre-fill stuff, if you can make it feel, like an easy fintech operation, they're going to be happy. If they can get to the docs without bugging you, they're going to be happy. But at the end of the day, they want to be able to get a hold of you. I think that's still paramount, like the most important thing.
And then Brett, like you mentioned a little bit about, right, your founder buddies and kind of hanging out with some of these insurtechs. Like, tell me about, like, are you giving them your kind of personal experience, in the agent broker space? Are you connecting them with some of the clients of yours directly? Are you just kind of, other folks in your network kind of, I know there's folks out there that are probably advising insurtechs or may have been approached by insurtech startups on advising. They may not know exactly, like, is this something I want to do or not? What do they need from me? Obviously, a common is just to kind of leverage your connections, right? And all that, but kind of going maybe beyond that, I would love you to kind of share, like, what are the types of questions they're asking from you, and what type of help do you provide?
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of evolved a little bit. My classic 3 rules were always like trust and like the founder, because life is short if you don't trust and like them. Like, see the tech working somewhere else, but not in insurance yet, which used to kind of be easier, and then believe the team's capable. And then I also joke around about, 3 free dates. You're not trying to, like, right off the bat, because you also have to see if they have legs or what the back and forth is going to be like. Because we talk to work people as much or more than our own family at times. It's going to be a long journey. There's going to be ups and downs. So, trust is huge. Sharing resources is huge. Hopefully the founder is kind of making you look good. One of the bad signs can be if they're kind of like pulling everything towards themselves really early. It's hard to kind of feed your crew for the whole journey. Business savvy right now, to, James' classic point, like, you got to stay alive and make money today. I'm trying to think what else kind of around your question. So I was a psychology major in community college before comparative religions at Cal State Fullerton. I kind of got distracted. I think it was a Psychology Today thing, but they said if there's less than 4 positives for every negative comments, people won't want to hang out with you. And if there's more than 11 positives for every 1 negative, people think you're psychotic or you're crazy. And then there's also the other theory that everyone thinks they do the dishes all the time. So I'm always trying to earn points. I don't know if it's because, like a good commission salesman father, he's always ranking us, but I feel like everyone thinks they're always doing the dishes kind of thing. So I just try to be helpful. I try to help founders, try to help buddies, make introductions, not keep score, and, like, literally have 4 times the points that I'll ever need to ask. Like James, for instance, he's been awesome. And, like, a couple times I pinged him just for an intro or an ask. He's like, hey, here you go. But hopefully try to bring value your way, get you on Insurance Nerds, just try to, like, fill up those coffers. Plus, it's a lot of smart, nice people. It's, like, such a happy accident career. Like, some of the nicest, smartest, most ambitious people I've found have been in our game, and I feel fortunate to have stumbled across it. Yeah.
And there's a remarkable density of talent here.
It's a long game. Like, the carpetbaggers, the people who think they can come in, like, oh, we figured out RPA is cool. How can I throw it at insurance? It's like easy come, easy go.
I call them swooping seagulls. Yeah. They you should appreciate that being in Newport Beach, in Costa Mesa a bit. They come in, they swoop in, they poop on your head, and they try and come eat your food, and then they leave. This is my 21st year in insurance, and working for TPAs, carriers, MGAs. It was a PBM that brought me to Newport Beach, by the way. So I learned the pharmacy. I had no idea how complex the PBM, pharmacy benefit management space was, and work comp, super complicated. And the one of the things I appreciate a lot about the industry, but I also appreciate there's, like, an infinite level of complexity. Like, there's never an end to understanding things. Like whenever I think I understand a corner, like, I just got my first 2 health, life, and disability clients in the last 2 years, and I was like, oh my god, this is there's like a whole other side of the house. Like, there's a lot here I didn't know. And, like, you make how much on commissions? I'm like, man, that's incredible. And then, you find out there's just infinite complexity and infinite challenges everywhere you look, which is really fun. There's, like, a lot of smart people trying to solve it at the same time. So I think that's something that's super appealing to a problem solver. If you were like me and you're a Lego kid when you're young, you like to build things, right?
to your point, like, so I'm property casualty, life health, and I
Uh,
helped a life insurance startup come to the U.S. from Canada. Then some friends who do supplemental benefits realized I was licensed in all 50 states. I've helped out with enrollments for supplementals, done group benefits, done life, commercial, personal. I really like the professional lines around like tech companies. That's probably my favorite place to play, but yeah, it's different. And since we're getting nice and nerdy on this, I always think of property casualty like building a wall, and you grab different coverages to kind of cover the nut of what you have to protect. Versus life and health feels like circles on top of each other and kind of overlapping. It's interesting. They're apples and oranges, but similar and different. Yeah,
but it's all just a bunch of fruit.
yeah,
It is. I mean, it is overlapping circles between life, health, and disability, right? Like it's a very different space, and technologically speaking, we're dealing with very different tech, like underlying technology platforms that are underneath them. Although there's a lot of similar component based technology, we've had to learn different systems and integrations, and it's definitely again infinite complexity, infinite challenges. It's been fun to have to learn.
not to
Rob,
get
oh sorry, go ahead, Brett.
No, and Rob might have on this, not to get too rabbit holey, but I feel like property casualty tried to like put systems around it like Guidewire, Duck Creek, and get all their old Cobalt servers working. And then Life Health just like started with like clean new stacks. It's been funny too to even see how like the two worlds have attacked this like transformation problem. Sorry, Rob, I jumped in.
No. I think that's a fascinating observation. I actually kind of agree. Like, yeah, what is the equivalent of a Guidewire in the life space? I don't know that we really know that or not. And then I feel like a lot of the life has been kind of more the simple stuff, right? The term life or, accident type insurance rather than, whole life, right? That has the investment side of it or whatnot. I also wonder if health, maybe more like, large commercial, whatever, where it is more like, hey, you need that intermediary, you need that agent broker, right? You always hear more particular in the life side than the P&C side, right? Insurance is sold, not bought. And I know that's a big problem, right? Just a lot of people are kind of wrestling with is just the demand side of things on the life insurance side. So yeah, just kind of, I guess winding up, Brett, like, are there any, overarching lessons that you guess you would say from kind of all your years as a, you're in the trenches, you're working, on both sides, right? With kind of traditional side and the startup side, but yet you also, I feel like, have this unique position where you just talk to a lot of people, whether or not you're kind of personally involved in, what's going on. You just like people, you're interested in people, you're interested in what's going on or whatever. So I would love maybe kind of some high level thoughts on where we've been and where we're going on the InsurTech side.
I can go a little heady to wrap this up and tie it back to comparative religions.
Love it.
When you talk to different people, you get their vantage point. I always think like you get a little bit too deep and weird. And my wife's actually home today, so she's going to overhear me being weird on this podcast. But like if God was this like big, beautiful crystal down in the middle, the earth we're all looking at, we all have kind of a different angle. So I can get, Rob's view, I can get James's view, and it's no different with business or anything else. You're kind of like combining all these different vantage points. And it's really cool. Like there's a lot of smart, nice, gifted people who academically, professionally just crushed it. And it's really cool to kind of bend their ear and hear how they're attacking things. To potentially bring it full circles. We're about to have our first kiddo. Those people skills, where it's service industry, playing sports, resilience. Technology is awesome. It's going to make our life easier. It's going to help our clients, our customers, our coworkers. But at the end of the day, we're all just kind of on the journey together, So I think finding people, you like being around, you want to spend time with, and you can kind of go through ups and downs. Like that's what it's all about. Yeah.
The human element.
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully it's not going anywhere.
Podcast, yeah. still can't get past the human element.
Right.
Yeah, the people are everything. It's I spent a long time in construction, fundamentally 17 years building software there as well. And there was a ton of overlap with insurance, obviously, because there's just a crap load of insurance in construction. I mean, it's a high risk activity. So there's builder's risk insurance and sub default insurance. And then there's, a ton of work comp and high hazard work comp. And then you have, general liability and then cyber, they get cyber attacked too. So I mean, just, it's probably a dream for a broker because I mean, they're going to buy a lot of stuff, and including all the surety bonds if you're a surety guy. So one thing that was like really cool in construction is that they build a physical product. But they don't have I don't feel like they have as much time for a lot of the relationship building because they work 6 hours. They work 6 days a week, 10 hours a day building things. Like it's a high pressure, high stress, low margin business. Insurance is different because they take incredible amounts of risk. The entire thing can turn on a dime with things that are completely outside your control. Right. But there is more time for relationship building. Just because it's not a 6 day a week, 12-hour a day job. It's just not it's just not, there's, and so you end up with, and really you're touching every industry on the planet. So you end up having to be good at a whole lot of different industries. And so I think there's a lot to like, in both spaces. I think why I decided to dedicate 2 decades to the past decades to insurance, and then the next 2, because I'm committed for this for at least 25 more years. Because that's kind of my personal window on when I'd like to work until. And I kind of, I had a really kind of a sad event recently. Really close friend of mine, Skip Brechtel, who is a great mentor, was on this show twice. He passed away a few weeks ago, and we had his funeral, and there were about 300 insurance people that flew in from all over the country to see Skip. Like, it was incredible. And he worked until 3 days before he passed away, because he had late stage terminal cancer, he had leukemia. And he was giving presentations until like 3 days before he passed away. And so I kind of like sunset all my horizons on when I want to stop working. So I was like, no, I want to go out like Skip. Like, I want to go out, like, I want to work until I'm done. And I want to have meetings until I remember, like, one of his last times he met with me, he goes, yeah, we got a lot. He goes, you got a lot to do. I've set everything up. We've done handoff meetings. Like, he literally did handoff meetings before he died. He goes, don't mess it up. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's just a lot of pressure. But like, it was that important to him. Like, he had this legacy work wise that he wanted to leave, and he wanted people to carry on his vision. And so that kind of recalibrated my hopes. But he was definitely an InsurTech geek. Go back and listen to his episodes, man. The dude, he was innovating from day one in insurance 30 years ago. I mean, he, absolute insurance all-star, and work comp all-star, insurance all-star, and innovated every single day. He geeked out every single day. So that's one thing I really appreciate about insurance, why I'm excited. Of course, why it's always good to catch up with you and hear how things are going over in your world, because I think we all have a lot of runway left and a lot of interesting things and interesting problems we can tackle. The reality is, in insurance, there's just a lot of problems that haven't been solved yet. I mean, a lot of problems that haven't been solved yet. So let's go tackle them. Brett, anything to close out with, my friend?
No, I just appreciate, to your point. I mean, it was 2018 when I met Rob in person. I'm about to turn 40 on Saturday. Then our first baby's due on Sunday. So I've been joking that we'll just smash together a midlife crisis and a baby all in the same weekend. Not going anywhere. My wife's one rule is I just can't do anything that's not insurance. So I can go hog wild on startups and retail and wholesale, but not out of this game yet, and looking forward to seeing what we get into.
Awesome. Rob, any closing comments?
No, just awesome to have you on, Brett. If you guys don't follow Brett on Instagram, he's got some pictures, some really good food too. He's a good grill. He loves to grill. He's the chef.
Are you like a Traeger smoker guy, or are you like a green egg person, or are you just straight charcoal? What's your poison?
My scrappy persona, man. I like to keep it, rugged. The Weber kettle got me going about 10 years ago. I got one for my 29th birthday, and just kind of got me addicted. And then my wife was in grad school during COVID. That got me really into cooking too, just kind of holding down the fort while she was, kind of buried in books. So it's fun, kind of similar to the sales chase, cooking, running, building business. To your friend who had passed, and sorry to hear, just skin in the game, doing things you care about, building things. It's fun. Like, I don't know, just building things, make things happen, whether it's food, running, or a company, like just trying to be great, whatever you're touching. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a bunch. Thanks always to all of our listeners out there as well, for listening into and geeking out to another episode of the InsurTech Geek podcast. This has been James Benham, your InsurTech geek, Rob Galbraith, most interesting man in insurance, and broker Brett. It's Brett Fulmer, soon to be a daddy. Congrats again.
Let's go.
And hey, let's go LFG, baby. It's a different phase of life, brother. Have
Sales
a good one.
Got to go up. Let's go.
Exactly. Exactly. Thanks for tuning in to Geek Out today, and we'll see you in the next episode. The InsurTech Geek podcast is all about technology that's transforming and disrupting the insurance world. And your host, James Benham, that's jamesbenham.com, with co-host Rob Galbraith at endofinsurance.com. We're taking you on a journey through insurance tech, so enjoy the ride and geek out.